So, as a person who does YouTube for 4 years, you might think I've been in every single casino in Vegas, but the truth is, there's a few that I hardly ever go into. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the casinos that I probably wouldn't take my family to. This isn't saying that they're bad properties, it's just places that I simply don't really go to. I go to a lot of properties when we do live streams on the channel, but there's a few that never make the cut, and I don't have a reason to go there. And I thought I would talk about it with you and ask you, what properties do you not go to when you're in Las Vegas? How's it going? My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. Let's get on with it. And again, this doesn't mean you shouldn't go to these places. By all means, go to the places on the list, but it's just not for me. If it's for you, that's good too. So starting on the south end of the strip, we'd have to start with the Tropicana. Now, it's not that I don't have love for the Tropicana. As a matter of fact, I have lots of love and good feels and member berries because my wife and I had one of our very first dates at a place called the Comedy Stop at the Trop. It's not around anymore, but they sure used to give out coupons at the grocery stores for locals to come. So I have great memories of the Tropicana, but the truth is, unless you're going to the Tropicana to gamble or go to a show, it's kind of out of the way. It's not really attached to any other properties. There's a walkway from the MGM, but you are just as inclined to go down and hit the main street level than anything else. So Tropicana is good. It's good for parking. It's not great for me to visit. Now, if you are parking at the Tropicana, they do offer free parking on the strip. It's one of the free parking spots, but just be known that a few years ago when the Golden Knights started playing, the Tropicana started ticketing and putting boots on cars or something of that effect because they noticed people were simply parking their car and walking to T-Mobile and then leaving after the game. So be sure to go into the Tropicana, drop a $5 into one of the machines if you're going to do that. It's the best way to not get towed, and it's a way to support a Vegas institution that, as you know from my video about Horseshoe and Bally's, may not be around for much longer, but only the time will tell if it'll become a baseball stadium or something completely else. Other properties I don't go into in the south end include the Oyo. Again, you have to really go to the Oyo to go to the Oyo. Now, I do believe they have a Hooters in there unless it's closed. It's been a while. Oyo is a brand from India, like the continent of India, and they're really big in the Indian and kind of Asian marketplace in their mindset. It opened up before COVID hit. It used to be the old San Remo. Before that, it was the Hooters, and it's had several names. It's not that I don't love the property. I think it has some quaintness to it. I love the style of the check-in area, the main front desk and valet. But once again, if you're not going there to gamble or to go there to eat a burger, not much reason for me to go there. Other properties I do kind of go into, I would take my family to, would be the Shark Reef, Mandalay Bay. Go see the beach. Make sure you see that. The Luxor, for obvious reasons. It's amazing inside. The New York I go to a lot. But what about the properties that I don't go to as much? One such property would be the Paris. I'm not a big Paris guy. It's not that I don't love the property. It's a possibility that maybe I just spent way too much time in the Paris in the past. See, I used to, in a past life, work as a timeshare marketer. Yeah, I was that body snatcher back when it wasn't that bad to do a timeshare tour back in the day, like 10, 12 years ago. Actually, going on further than that, my goodness, 14 years ago. And it was a thing where we would go inside of the Paris and sit at the sports book. And I think I just have some memories of having not great experiences working in that industry that's kind of soured my take on going into the Paris. Of course, the Paris is a good property to go to, but it's just not for me. The Paris is attached somewhat, I think, to Harrah's right next door. Sorry, Bally's right next door, which won't be Bally's for long, so who knows how that's going to go. And it is conveniently placed right in the middle of the strip. Otherwise, I don't really go into the Paris Hotel. It's nothing in particularly against it, just not my kind of place. Other hotels I don't really go into, the Mirage. Yeah, believe it or not, I don't really go into the Mirage. I tried to go into the Mirage in the past. First of all, the parking situation is not optimal. You go into one area, you have a choice. You can go park at the Treasure Island, which is completely free forever for everybody, which is super awesome. Or you can go to the Mirage, where you're going to be timed if you're a local to park for 3 hours. And if you're over 3 hours, maybe somebody on the intercom is nice enough to validate your parking as a local within reason. Or you're going to pay for parking entirely. So I don't really go to the Mirage. Not that I don't love the property, but again, they did surround me with guards one day when they were doing their reopening, on the night of their reopening after COVID. And maybe that tainted me a little bit. I always did want to see the Beatles Love Show, and there is reasons to go there. You should go there if you basically want to see the Mirage before it turns into the Hard Rock. You should definitely go there if you want to see the Beatles Love Show before it disappears. Some other properties that I don't really go into around that general area That would be the Venetian Palazzo. Now I'll go into the Grand Canal shops. The Grand Canal shops are beautiful, but Venetian Palazzo, they're really places with big gaming floors. And since I'm not a huge gamer, there's no reason for me to really go into those places. But I do completely appreciate the Grand Canal shops. Now, fun fact about this, these properties are completely separately managed between the shopping mall, which is the Grand Canal shops, and the actual casino floors themselves. So a mall company, I believe it's Simon Malls, does the shops, and the casino is run by the casino company. Hence why you don't see people live streaming and doing things in the Venetian or the Palazzo on the gaming floor, but you will definitely see them doing stuff in the Grand Canal shops whenever the connection decides to work for us. It's always a thing when you're a streamer. Moving up the road a little bit, Wynn and Encore love the properties. Tell everybody to go there. Beautiful places. Don't go in with a camera that's not your phone. They will kick you out. That's their policy, and we respect the heck out of that. And across the way, another place I never go to, and most of you never will, is the Trump Tower. You don't go to the Trump Tower unless you're staying at Trump Tower because there's nothing there. Although I do hear that there's a fantastic spa at Trump Tower, and I've heard the restaurant is fantastic. But unless you're going for a destination, that's another property you're probably going to miss. Getting up to the north end of the strip, though, that's when it gets really interesting because we don't really have a lot of properties now, do we? Back in the day, you had the Stardust, you had the Westward Ho, then you have Circus, another property I don't really go into because I don't have kids. Additionally, Circus does something weird with cell phone signals. I'm going to tell you right now. My conspiracy theory on that will come up later on, so be sure you're subscribed to this channel to get what I think is happening at Circus and why you can't even send a text or make a phone call out of that property half the time, unless that's changed. Because again, I don't go in there a lot, but there's a lot of children in Circus. And as a guy, I tend not to associate where there is a ton of kids because it is a completely weird thing to do, at least for me. And so if you have children, you'll go to Circus. If you don't have children, you probably won't go there. There may be a show coming up at Circus in the future. We don't know if Phil Ruffin's going to do that, but it's really a child-driven destination, which I don't have children, so I don't really go there. The other property, before we get to downtown in another video, because we will do another video on this, is the Sahara. Now, look, I have no hate for the Sahara or the Stratosphere. But the Sahara is just a little bit too off the beaten path for me. Parking at Sahara is a pain and it's arduous. It is free parking. That is good of Sahara to do that, but they need all the help they can get. They are definitely not walking distance in 110-degree August heat from the main strip. But going to the Sahara, you will see a lot of cool stuff. The times I've been in there have been great, and I might try to smuggle a real camera into the Sahara to get some of the photos because they have some interesting kind of quasi-modern art pieces. But again, I'm not a gamer and there's no destinations for me to go there. I'm not a big foodie, so why would I go to a place that has expensive restaurants? So Sahara, not that it doesn't have love, but back in the day, you know, they did have the NASCAR roller coaster over at there. It's called Speed the Ride, and it would loop up and down. That was something that drove people to destinations. You know, speaking of things, I don't ever go to the Virgin Hotel. I mean, Virgin was very nice. They reached out to us. They had us do an influencers weekend. Although I wasn't allowed to film anything in the casino as a YouTube guy, it crushed me. They were really cool. They gave us a free room. That was really fun. But at the same time, it's like, again, when it was the Hard Rock Casino, you would walk from the strip on Harmon all the way down just to see the cool stuff at the Hard Rock. Not the Hard Rock anymore, so what's the point? You know what I mean? So that's one thing that the Sahara had with that roller coaster. That's one thing the Virgin had with the destination to go see the rock and roll memorabilia. They don't really have that stuff anymore, which makes some places that I'm not inclined just to walk through and go to for any apparent reason. But I'm interested to know, I mean, where are your guys' no-goes in Vegas? What casinos do you not go into? These are the ones for me, and I've lived here since 2004. Make sure that if you do come into town and you want to go to that destination, you do, because the way that this town changes and morphs at a clip, you never know what's going to be here next time. And be sure to like, share, subscribe this video if you're just browsing through so you can see more like this on the channel. If you guys want to support the channel, you guys want to take yourself off of supporting giant, huge chemical-laden products with a big mega corporations, funding Amazon and Walmart. If you guys want to learn about an alternative that is a family-owned, small mom-and-pop business based here in America where they make all the stuff, boring stuff that you find in your bathrooms and stuff like that, then reach out to me. Leave me your information at switchaway.com/NLLV, and I'll be sure to get back to you on that. Until next time, I love you, sweet Caroline. This has been casinos I don't really go into, not because I don't love them, but just because I have no reason. Now's the time of the video where we say 3, 2, 1, click. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, and click.